wiring harness that is long enough to go to
China.
Welcome back to Unwrecked, the best unknown channel on YouTube. Ow! On this episode, we're going to be doing a installation and review of the new PLZ AN-500. So if you've kept up with my channel, the last 3-4 cars I've put a PLZ MP800 in those cars. Really like the stereo. They are non-Android based. They do screen mirroring. Everything works good. The sound quality's good. They just work. That's why I like them. I will have to say, when they first sent me this radio, I was a little disappointed, and I'll go over that right now. First off, this is an Android-based radio. Second off, the specs are low compared to what I've seen online, but for the price point, I guess it's right on par. The other thing that I didn't care for, well, first off, it's not labeled PLZ. The pictures showed it had PLZ in the bottom. That doesn't really bother me. But it is basically, if you look on the market for these 10.1 inch touchscreen Android decks, there are a whole bunch of different companies that make this same style deck. It's just like a copy. I don't know. They're just generic versions, but given all that, I have tested it, and I will have to say that I do like it a lot. The screen quality, the picture, like the way it works works a lot better than the last Android I got. If you do plan on getting a deck this big, I got a big deck. The first thing you're going to find out is that first off, you're going to want to order a wiring harness for your specific car, and if you're like me, you went ahead and ordered a double din dash so that you knew it would fit in there. Well, guess what? It doesn't fit a double din dash. This is the stock piece, but I got an aftermarket one that was a double din, and I had to trim the outer edges just to make it fit in there because it was too wide. It was wider than a double din. So, first off, plan on customizing. Second off, plan on doing some fabricating. So I've installed a lot of these cheap radios in the past, and they all come with brackets sort of like this. Use these to your advantage. They're easily manipulated. You can bend these things, so bend these how you need to make it fit. That's what I did. So let me take the stereo out and I'll show you. Alright, we're out of the car. So I originally put this down where the stock stereo goes. The shifter's in the way, you can't see your climate controls, whatever. This is all going to be different for your car, however you put it. Maybe your stereo is up tall. Having this up closer to the top of the dash is actually really nice. So you're not looking down to do, mess with your controls and stuff. So let me flip this thing over. What I did here is the top is a very small storage compartment on these Z's. Very useless. There's like, you can't even hardly stick a cell phone in there. So as you can see, I bolted these brackets on different than the way they were supposed to go. I had to drill, do a little bit of custom fabrication. I had to drill the holes so that the bolts would go in it because the holes didn't line up on that part of the bracket. But put them on so they faced out, then bent them and bolted them right to the vents. The vents are bolted into this trim piece, and this trim piece has a bunch of clips that clip into place when you put this in. So it's like really easy to take the radio out now because you can just pop this off, but then you got to get your ignition switch and your airbag. notification light there. You have to get those off. As for wiring harness, the directions. So the direction books that come with this are not very good. These labels, the color labeling here, is wrong. This is not correct. I'm going to be straightforward with you right there. But the wires are labeled correctly. Like they labeled on their pink is the backup view trigger. And on here it's labeled as key 1, which is one of the steering wheel controls. So go by what the wires are labeled on the harness. See, I have these rear wires. I did not wire them in because the stock harness on this Z, being a base model, the wiring is there for the back speakers, but they are not connected to this plug. So what we're going to do is we're going to run 6x9s to the back, and I'm going to run wires up in behind the dash, and we're going to wire them in right to this harness. So it's not going to go into this. Another thing, this radio does not have an SD card slot for expansion. Basically, this is a 1 GB of RAM and 16 GB of ROM. It has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, screen mirroring, a whole 9 yards there. These are your USB cables. I have them in. There's a GPS signal here. Now, I had one of these on my old Android, and I set this up on the dash, and on a hot day, it was just like this. This thing freaking melted. So I'm probably going to put this under the dash. What else is there with this? Okay. And here are 2 other features they gave me. They gave me a backup camera with this one and a dash camera. So this has a front and back camera. I am going to be wiring these in for this. I'm going to go over all of that. But basically, you buy the wiring harness for your car. The wiring harness for the deck comes with it here. And just use crimp connectors or solder and shrink tube, whatever you want to do. I always just use these crimp connectors. They work. They're very effective. And as you can see, not all the wires went to, they're not, you know, color efficient. So, you know, just make sure you're like one off this harness. Normally your illumination wires are yellow. On this harness, it is orange. So just make sure you're connecting the correct wires with the correct ones on the harness. After you get that all done, I've already tested the deck. It works great. Also had to get an antenna adapter. There's also outputs and inputs for this. There's audio out, auxiliary in, video in. You're going to use this for your camera wires. I think there's one for the front and one for the back. Audio in. There's an amp. There's a lot. I just satisfyingly cleaned this interior out. If you know what it did look like, this looks 10 times better. I actually used foaming engine degreaser, so I'm gonna have to go over this with a carpet cleaner then, because I'm sure there's sort of a residue, and you can smell the degreaser, but it did really clean all that stuff out. I just came to the harsh reality that my 6x9s are no way gonna fit on this panel like I planned. I was gonna, you know, fit them on the panel, something like that, but if you notice how deep that is from where the mounting surface is until the back, it's just not gonna happen. There's not enough clearance behind this panel to sneak a 6x9 in there that's that deep. Now if it was like 2 inches or 2.5 inches from the front to back, I might be able to get away with it. So the only other way to do that would also have adapters, like an adapter ring to space this out. You don't want to have gaps around it, so there's a ring you put on. I'm not going to go that route. I'm going to go to Walmart. They have Sony and Panasonic and all those other Pioneer good brands up there. I'm going to see what 6-inch speakers will cost me, and I might be able to sneak it in. I don't know. I might have to do a little bit of trimming here, but I think I can sneak a 6-inch in here and still have clearance on the back. So, yeah, it sucks, but I was just like, go big or go home, and I guess I got to go home now. All right, so me and the wife went to Walmart. I got speakers that are going to work. Sony makes these 4x6s. Look at these things, they're cute. Yeah, it's not going to hit like a 6x9, but the profile is very low compared to the old ones. And there's these adapter rings, which would look ugly on the outside. But what we're going to do is I trim this. Of course, Boss Audio gives you templates to cut them out and all this stuff. You know what you get with these? Nothing. You get enough wire to just wire it to whatever wiring they have. Boss Audio gives you enough wire to run the wire as far as you want to go. Templates to cut the speaker holes out and all that. So I laid that down and I traced around it, and I made myself a template on the cutout one for this 6x9s. Look how much bigger that would have been. That would have been so much better. Anyways, I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to lay that on this panel. And the way I was looking at it, the best way to mount it is going to be down like this. So we're going to have to cut this out. Don't worry, this car when you worry about the purity of a car, like, it's low mileage, and I was just like, everything was bugging me. Like, I want it to be like as nice as can be. The purity of this thing's already ruined, okay? Like, whoever had this before me did way worse things to this than what I'm gonna do. Also, I just want a bumper on eBay, so I got a bumper coming. So we have everything we need to finish this thing. If you get too worried about making things perfect and to the point of you want it to be like it was in the factory and stuff, it's no fun at that point. So like, I'm like, the stereo where it's not supposed to be, I'm customizing it, I'm doing it my way. So these speakers going in there, I'm gonna run the wires for it. I know how it's gonna be. I'm totally aware that this is not gonna be some high dollar Z when it's done, but it's gonna be my Z. So I'm doing it my way. So without the adapter ring, right here's what we're looking at. It has little tabs on it to mount it. I'll probably mount it from the back side and have that come through. It's not even, but it you know, whatever. We're gonna mount it on there, and this is, I don't know how hard this is gonna hit. This is 210 watt peak power. I think it'll sound good. It'll be better than having no speakers back there. So I'm about to annihilate this good panel right here to put a speaker in. Let's do it. So I do have one in and wired. All I did was ran the wires down under here, under the carpet, and as you can see, I kind of wrapped it around that harness, ran it back there, and it is in the stereo. Maybe we should go over the stereo a little bit. There it is, little 4x6. Yeah, it doesn't bump like I would hoped, but it fits and it fills the sound in, so that's pretty nice. These stock Clarion speakers in the doors, yes, they do bump. So I do have another one of them coming because this one's blown out. That's why it's on the ground. Anyways, let's go over the stereo. And the front dash camera, all you're gonna do is run it to one of these USB plugs. It's a USB plug. It has a slot for a micro USB, and you'll route that however you want. I'm thinking, since I'm going to have the headliner out, I'm going to route it across the top here. I am not going to install it on this video. I will plug it in to show you how it works, but my windshield needs replaced. So I want to mount it up top, or, you know, somewhere across the front here, but I want to wait until my windshield's replaced. The backup camera is going to go in one of the RCA plugs off the back of the deck. Video in right there. So you're going to take this video in wire. You're going to plug your camera into that, and then there is also a trigger wire on the harness here. Yes, here it is. You can see that says back, and it is the brown and black wire on there. You're going to run that to the wires for the backup camera. Let me get these right now. Okay, so with the backup camera, this is your backup camera. It's got little LEDs around it for when you have it on. So if it's nighttime, it'll have good vision, has night vision. There is a plug in it right here. So you plug that in. And then on the harness itself, you have a power and ground right off of that. And it's fairly long. You're going to run this to your reverse light. The power is going to go, the red one, is going to go to your reverse bulb when the power's on. So when you put it in reverse, whatever wire has power to the backup light, you're going to wire that in. And this one goes to ground. You can run it to the body ground. You can run it into the harness ground, whatever you want to do. Then there is a wiring harness that is long enough to go to China. On the other end, here is your video in for plugging into your deck. And then this is your trigger wire right here. This is going to go to your brown and black stripe backup wire. So when you put it in reverse, it's going to tell the deck. First, its power is going to send it to the backup camera and turn the backup camera on. Second, this is going to send power to the backup signal and automatically turn your screen to the backup camera. So I'm not wiring this in at the moment, but just wanted to show you how you go about that. And here's the dash camera. I have it plugged into the USB harness, and you will either, it's got sticky tape on it. You'll either mount it to your dash or mount it to your window, and you can rotate this whichever way you want. Right there's where your SD card goes. Anyways, let's get into the deck. Now it has different boot up screens. I made it so it was Nissan, obviously. And I found that it takes a good probably 20 to 30 seconds for the Android screen to boot up the first time, which is a significant amount of time, but you can. Oh. Now I can tell you, on my camera, I don't know how the picture quality's coming up. It kind of looks like it has like a blue haze to it. I can tell you looking at it in person, it does not look like that. It actually has very clear, crisp screen, which is actually way better than the other models I buy from PLZ. This screen is like far superior to those. The screen is very bright. It's huge. It's beautiful in here. I mean, that just looks wonderful, if I do say so myself. I see that my dash camera has power, so I have not tried the camera app myself, so I wonder how this works. Okay, so it's the traffic safety app. Yeah, you can see that. Anyways, guess I have it upside down. Yeah. Picture quality's actually pretty decent. Like Ashley's car's a 2017 Challenger, and it has a backup camera. And I'd say this quality is actually a little bit better. Now, is it 1080? No, it's not 1080. I don't know what quality you would say that is, but it's halfway decent. So while you're in this, you can hit record, or you can take a screenshot, or you can record sound. So let's see how this works. Floated it. So now you can have your front camera on while you have your deck on, if you want to. I'm gonna close this camera out. But that's also right up here at the top of your screen. I believe that's what that is. Yes, traffic safety guard. That's your front-facing camera. I believe it's recording all the time whenever you have an SD card in, but I could be wrong. I'll have to research that. As for the deck itself, this thing is putting out good power, 60 watts per channel. Like I said, I have one door speaker, and this thing freaking bumps. I am not even kidding you. There's an equalizer on here, and I have already customized it, as you can see. I like to have my bass and my treble up, so that's where we're at on that. Zone, you can move the sound to whatever speaker you want. I always like to have loud the whole way up, so that's what I have there. And if you have a subwoofer wired in, which it has provisions for it, you can also turn the power up to the subwoofer. You can change your boot animation. All I have is Android. You'd have to load some. But you can fully customize this thing, which is what is cool. But you only have 16 gigabytes of memory. Facebook came on it. That's not technically something I would choose to put on my radio, but it is what it is. Google, you got Play Store, you have Maps, so you have navigation on here. I loaded Spotify because I use Spotify. YouTube, and I put YouTube Studio on there so I can check my YouTube. And it also has the Torque app, so if you have an Bluetooth OBD2 dongle, you can have that in, and you can pull up torque, and you can bring up gauges on here. This has steering wheel controls, and I kind of messed mine up, so I gotta reprogram them. But get yourself a harness that has your steering wheel controls. So there's two different harnesses for this car. One of them didn't have the steering wheel controls, one of them did. All you have to wire in is the key 1 and the key 2, which is your signal 1, signal 2. Which all that is my volume, and then my up and down here, and my source button. So go to steering wheel, and you can see what all is programmed. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you. I'm going to go to clear. We're going to clear this off. We're going to go to start, and volume down. I'm going to hit the down button on here, and you see it goes out. Volume up, hit the up button. So I programmed that. Menu, I'm going to hit the source button. Next track, up. Previous track, down. And then I'll hit end. Now they should all be programmed. So now if I hit my plus button, you can see my volume go up. I hit my down button, my volume goes down. And then up and down is going to change my tracks. That's awesome. All I had to do was put 2 wires in, and I have full control over my steering wheel controls, and that is just wonderful. You can customize your themes. There's only one on here, so there's really nothing I can do there. Now I will show you there are more options to this deck than it originally looks. You go to your settings. You know, you got your Wi-Fi settings. I have it connected to my house, so there's internet on it right now. But under car settings, you go there. You go down to the bottom and you see extra settings. There is a PIN number. They don't give it to you, but if you go to extra settings, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hit OK, and that's going to bring you into your extra menu. You can change your resolution. There are a lot of different features in here. The external SD mode, I believe that's, you can plug into your USB with an external hard drive. That's one thing I didn't like about this deck. There is no SD card slot in the deck itself, so you can't expand the memory, but you can plug one into one of your USB cables and have an external hard drive. On to the next feature, which is my favorite feature of these. So I'm going to plug into my phone, and you do not have to be plugged in for it to mirror your screen. That's another thing, but I found it kind of works better. So whatever I do here, it's doing up there. Now I found there's a slight lag, but you can control everything from up here if you want to. Now we're going to watch some quality home videos here. Huh. You can see there's a little bit of lag, but thankfully the sound is following the stereo, not my phone. Man, this is some good editing. Who's show? But also in screen mirroring, it kind of cuts off a little bit. Now, if you're hooked up to Wi-Fi, you don't even need screen mirroring. So let me back out. I have YouTube on here. I can go right to YouTube and view from there. Now, as you can see, when I'm not in the screen mirroring, the app is full screen.
Sick. We actually brought that car for you. No.
That channel seemed okay. It was just... But yeah, the screen's pretty responsive. As you can see, it's pretty smooth, actually. So if you go on Amazon and you look up PLZ, I was purchasing the MP800s, is what I've been putting in all the other cars. They fit in a double din. If you want to go the easy route, go with one of those. If you want to go customized, you're definitely going to have to custom fit this deck to fit. But, I mean, there's no other stereo. I mean, yes, there are other stereos, but like, to get this look, you're going to have to do a little bit of customization to get it in there. But under that same deck, the MP800, if you go down under options, you can scroll over to this, is the AN-500. There was another one, it was the MP900. I don't know. I've never used that deck to tell you how it works, but I do really like this. And I like that I have my steering wheel controls. I'm going to wire up the camera so I have recording all the time. I like to have a dash camera on all my cars because you never know what's going to happen. So I tested out my sewing skills last night. I do eventually, I want to change these seats out, but for now, since I got the airbag repaired on this one, I stitched this one back up. Turned out pretty good. Cleaned the seat. It's still both seats have little like frays and cigarette burns, so that's why. But I gotta get this other speaker in, and then we'll see what this stereo sounds like. So roomy in here now. There's so much room for activities.
Look at all this floor space. So we do aerobics in here. Holy.
So the more I've messed with this deck, the more I like it. It seems really responsive for what it is. Sure, there are other ones on the market that have higher specs, but they're also priced higher. So this is like a good starter deck. And I mean, if you feel like going custom and you want to have a big screen like that, this is the way to go. I mean, that just looks amazing. So if you're interested in getting one of these decks, I'm going to leave a link in the description below. You can go there and get it. If they give me a discount code, I'll add that down there too. Hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down, I don't even care. Give it whatever you want to. Consider subscribing. Hit that bell so you get notifications. And we'll see you on the next episode of Unwrapped. Making some food. You smell it, don't you? You do. Say bye-bye.